Hey friends, welcome back to that 1870s Homestead. My name's Rachel, and today we're just getting a lot of canning done to restock some things I'm low in the pantry. Today we're doing black beans, and I'm doing some smoked chicken. I'm really excited about that. If you've never canned smoked chicken, it's delicious. It takes canned chicken to a whole nother level. The first time I ever did it, we had my brother-in-law cooked for my son's wedding, and we had a ton of leftover, not a ton, but probably a whole pan of smoked chicken left and smoked like shredded beef. And so I canned it up after the wedding, and it was like everyone's favorite. So we decided that when we recan it again next time, we need to restock our smoked chicken because we've been out of that for a while. And I'm down to 1 jar of chicken left and 1 jar of black beans left. They're 2 of our most frequently used items for cooking meals and making meals in the house. And so all I'm doing here is it's canning beans. If you're new to canning and you've never pressure canned before, canning beans is one of the easiest things to start with, just to get used to your pressure canner. And I'm literally adding, these haven't been soaked, they've just been rinsed, a half a cup of black beans to a pint, and then we'll top that with water up to half an inch of head space, and then you put it in your canner. I'm doing cold canning, so that means that they're cold jars, cold food, cold water, and a cold canner, and you don't chance breaking your jars that way. So 1 little bag of beans that I buy, we'll see, probably, yeah, one of them will probably be shy. So I'll get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, wait, let me do that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, right at 11 pints. This one will be a little shy. That's okay. And anyway, I just wanted to bring you guys with today and can up some things. I'm going to show you some Christmas decorations I've done around the house, and it's just getting all the holiday feels. And wintertime for me is an awesome opportunity to do some restocking from just stores I have in the house. So I have black beans. I keep like a 5-gallon bucket full of beans so that when I need to restock on the shelves, I just can go and grab from there. This was my last bag of black beans in that 5-gallon bucket, so I need to just all together restock on black beans after today. So I think everything looks good. Yep, now we'll just head over and we'll top these off with some water. Alrighty, now I'm going to just give them a little stir with a chopstick or a knife, something like that, to make sure all the air bubbles are out. I'm not going to be picky about wiping my rims. Nothing got on them. You should, though. But I'm just confident enough that, I mean, this is just water. There's nothing sticky, greasy, no dirt, anything like that. And again, that was cold water going into cold jars. I've got my canner with 2 inches of water in it behind me. So once I get these loaded, we'll load up the canner. And get that pressure canning while the chicken's outside smoking. While Todd was helped me prep the chicken, I was just going to smoke them whole, but he said it would go faster if we spatchcocked it. Oh, I need a wide mouth lid for that. I'll be right back. Before I finish telling that story, here's an example of how I will reuse a lid. So this lid, it was used for dry storage of lemon balm, and it doesn't have much at all use of the rubber seal around it. Hopefully you guys can tell that. And I will also use lids that have been canned before, but I'll typically go from something that's been water bath canned to pressure canning because it'll pull down a tighter seal, and the water bath canning process doesn't seem to leave that kind of damage on a seal. Again, that's your personal preference. It is not recommended to reuse your lids. They're intended for one-time use, but I've done a video on how and why I would reuse lids in the past. All right, let's head over here to the canner. So I've got my All-American. If I know it's almost Christmas time, guys, if you are in the hunt, while these are pricey, they are worth the money. You know, my Presto canner, I have had to replace that seal and gasket so many times, just when you can as much as I do. And having this All-American, you know, there's no gaskets. It's metal on metal seals, and I got the big boy, so I can double stack, which I need to for this one. So I can double stack quarts and double stack pints, of course. I've even triple stacked 4-ounce jars in here when I was doing my onions. All right, and then, whoops, excuse me. This is what I'm talking about. It's just metal on metal. And then I keep a little jar of Vaseline in my pantry right here in the cupboard, so that when I can, you just want a light, hopefully you guys can see that, a light layer of oil of some kind. I prefer Vaseline. And it doesn't matter that this is cocoa butter scented, but, and then you're supposed to do the inside of this. And I probably do this, I would say probably every 5 canning sessions. I've found it doesn't need it every single time. I think the owner's manual tells you to do it every single time, but I really found it doesn't need it. And you don't want it where you can see the, you know, goop or anything like that. You just want a nice little seal on there. And then you need to go around and make sure that your lid is evenly on. And I kind of just use my fingertips and make sure the gap feels the same. And then pull up your clamps opposite sides of each other and clamp them down at the same rate. You don't want to clamp them down unevenly. All right, we'll get this heating up. Like I said, I'm gonna bring this up to pressure. I'm gonna let it vent for 10 minutes. Once the steam starts coming out, get my pressure up to 10 pounds for my elevation, and then it's 75 minutes. So by then, my chicken at least should be done. And while this is cooling down, I'm gonna leave my chicken on the smoker outside, let that cool down. And we'll talk more about canning the chicken when we get to that. Alrighty, the black beans are done, and I just brought the chicken in while this was cooling down so it could cool off. So once I get these out, we'll start on jarring up the chicken. It smells so good. Just a tiny bit of pressure still in the canner. It's one thing to know about these All-American canners is it'll say it's 0 pressure, and I found that you really need, it always retains a little bit, no matter what. Smells like beans. Here we go. Our first jar of black beans coming out. Oh no, I had a broken jar. Bummer. That happens. Just the bottom broke. It happens to me, I would say probably once a year, actually. Once a year I'll get a broken one. Oh, that's gonna be tricky to get out. Luckily it happened on the top, so there's all my beans. I don't get too stressed over it. Can't cry over spoiled milk. You can't cry over a broken jar. Tell you, just the other day I was down in my pantry doing some deep cleaning and I got clumsy and I lost an entire quart jar of my own homegrown oregano. Fell off of a high shelf. I knocked it with my arm and glass shattered all in it. All right, so that is done. Let me show you. There's all the black beans done. And here is all my chicken. Doesn't that look great? Absolutely delicious. So I was mentioning that Todd got the chickens ready earlier. I don't think I finished that story. He spatchcocked the chickens, which is cutting out the backbone so that you can lay it straight and flat, and it just helps the cooking process go a little faster. So all these backbones I'm saving for broth. Same with all the bones from the chicken. So I'm going to be taking the chicken skin off, and I just feed that to my chickens. I'm personally not a big fan of chicken skin. I know some people are, but not my favorite texture or anything. And then I will debone. So here's a nice, oh, that looks delicious, fat, juicy thigh and leg. And I only cooked these till they were about, like I said, we smoked them. I cooked them till they were about 145, 150 internal temperature, because they'll finish cooking in the canning process. So I just try to cook them till they're good enough where I can pull they got the flavor from the smoke and I can pull all the meat off the bones easily rather than having to cut it off the bones. So I have canned raw chicken a couple times. It's just not my favorite process. It's, you know, I don't know, harder to me to get all the meat off the bones. And I just like this process better. So we'll pull all this meat off, and then I'm saving these bones for more chicken stock. Quick wardrobe change, I know. Got a slight interruption in yesterday's canning, but we're back the next day. I've had just the chicken in the bags in the fridge. So very cold. I'm just gonna be putting it into the jars. And typically you can estimate about a pound of meat per pint. And so if I was particular, I'd probably be weighing it a little bit. And I don't pack my chicken in. Like, I make sure it's, what do you say? I don't know. I wish I could show you on the camera. I'm just doing like a gentle push, you know, to make sure it's full, but I'm not like jamming it down there. So it's packed tight. Okay, so I'm only going to 1 inch of headspace because we're gonna fill with water, and that's gonna make some yummy broth in and of itself. But I was snacking on this chicken yesterday when I was deboning it. I tell you what, guys, if you've never canned smoked chicken, it is so good. And we use it for everything, just like we would use regular chicken, whether it's in pot pies, chicken salad, chicken fried rice, you name it, we use it. We actually have a plate sitting out today because we saved up, probably 1.5 pounds for dinner. And it just has all the yummy flavor bits from the smoking and all the just little char pieces that happen on the skin. And even though I took the skin off, when you're handling it, you know, all that yummy flavors on your fingers. So, and I used to take time to separate out dark meat from white meat, but I don't do that anymore. It's just all mixed together. I think it looks delicious. And you hear a lot of people talk about canned chicken just looks ugly, and I think you definitely get that perspective when you can raw chicken, but when you can cooked chicken, I don't think it looks all that ugly, you know, sitting there in the jar waiting to be eaten. So maybe it looks a little bit more appetizing too for those that are kind of freaked out by the idea of canning meats for the first time. I think it's delicious. So I'm gonna get all these jars filled. We will wipe the rims of these jars because there is like grease and fats on my fingers. And when it's time for that, I'll bring you guys down. We'll look at how many jars did we get filled from those 5 chickens and get into the canning. Okay, similarly to the canning the beans, you know, this is cold. I do have these jars filled, by the way, right now. They're filled up to here. I should, actually, before I do that, don't forget to debubble. Something like this is pretty important because there can be a lot of air gaps between those chicken bits. So we want to, I just always use a chopstick. I find it easiest. It doesn't force me to buy any special tool, and it does a really good job getting into tight spots. So I'm just going to go through here, and I go around all sides, pushing out any of those air bubbles. And then also it'll tell me if I need to top off the jars with any more water. If there's a lot of air bubbles, it makes the water level lower. So we're going to get these all debubbled. I'm going to wipe my rims because that chicken is greasy from the skin and everything and the fats. So that is really important, where, you know, I wasn't that worried about it with the beans. My beans were clean. I wasn't cross-contaminating the lids at all, or the rims of my jars or anything like that. Introducing anything that might make a false seal. I felt comfortable about that. But here's an instance where I will definitely take time to wipe all my rims down. We'll put our lids on, and I am using, for all this canning and all my canning of late, the 4 jars lids. They are great. I've never had a seal go bad on me, and I've been using them for well over a year. And I think we have some kind of discount to offer you guys. It's down in the description below. So if you want to check that out, if you're interested, or it's something, winter's a great time to stock up on canning lids when there's not a run on them. If you're new to canning, back in the quarantine COVID days, we had this nationwide canning lid shortage just because of supply chain issues with metal manufacturing. So it was a pretty big deal to have a good stock. And if you've been on any of my pantry tours, you probably see quite a large stock of canning lids, because I never want to be in that situation again. So, wipe clean, clean, clean all these rims. This is just a damp washcloth with water. You want to use a clean washcloth. Don't use something that's been sitting in your sink, you know. And then rings on. And I was saying, similarly to canning the beans, this is cold canning. So these are cold jars, not like cold, but, you know, room temperature with cold food in it. And we'll put it in a cold canner. I did clean out that bean water from yesterday because I did have a jar break. And so if that happens to you, clean out your canner before you use it again. And we'll get these loaded up. I ended up with 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 pints. But remember, I have 1.5 pounds sitting out for dinner. Oh, it's right here so I can show you guys. 1.5 pounds sitting out for dinner. And Todd ate 2 wings and 2 legs last night. So I probably would have easily, if I had canned it all, gotten 15 pints. 75 minutes. So thanks guys for just coming with me, catching up on some canning that I needed to get done. And I will, what's next on the list? I think I need to take care of some potatoes. I still have one more round of potatoes that are, getting soft from storage. I need to take care of that in the pantry. But that's probably going to honestly wait till after Christmas. We're just 2 weeks away, right, from the big festivities of it all. So I have been stocking up on all the things to make the Christmas goodies. So I look forward to bringing you some homemade goodies from the kitchen this Christmas. And as always, I'll leave you guys with the view of what these look like coming out of the canner, and I'll see you back here in the kitchen pretty soon. Talk to you guys later.